first success today. Okay, now it will be only easier, because I'm here to tell you how to be lazy. But before we will go there, let's do some small audience check, because I know it's only me between you and lunch, so it's really difficult position to be here, but we can make it, okay? We can make it together. But let's start with some exercise. It won't be difficult, I promise you. I see some terrified faces, but yeah, it will be easy. So, I will say a few sentences, and if you agree with them, just raise your right hand, left hand, or both hands, okay? Can we do that? Yes! Okay, so the first question. Who of you is a developer here? Woo, perfect! Do we have any UX designers in the room? No one. Okay, do we have testers? No tester? Oh, there's one person. Super, perfect. Okay, do we have people who love dogs? Dogs. Okay, there will be a lot of dogs in my presentation, but there will be cats as well, so who is cat lover? Yes, okay. And who of you is lazy? Okay, I'm super lazy, and this talk was created because of that. Because, you know, when I started programming, I believed that my life would look like that. So I will be sitting in a fancy restaurant, just, you know, eating pizza and coding something with my cat, doing some code review. But after that, I learned something terrible. The ratio of time spent reading versus writing is well over 10 to 1. So much often we have to debug something or read something written by someone else or us, understand what's happening there, and yeah, typically fix that. What's worse, there's something called Kerningham's law. So debugging is twice as hard as writing the code in the first place. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Especially when you're a web developer like me. So, you know, there are only few devices you have to check, few browsers, you know, resolutions and stuff like that, network connection and everything. So, in the end, you are a little crazy about debugging, testing, and checking some stuff. And it's why I loved this tool. That's Chrome DevTools. You saw it already in different presentations, and probably you are using that. But yeah, I really love it, and I will tell you how to make me better developer, because I'm lazy, as I said previously. But before we will go there, a few words about me. I'm Dominika Zaja, and I'm software engineer. I work as a senior software engineer at Qualtrics in Poland. Apart from that, I'm also a Google developer expert in web technologies. And I love karaoke, so if you know any good places in Paris, please let me know, okay? If you want to talk with me about anything, not only karaoke, but also web accessibility, Chrome DevTools, web best practices, stuff like that, here my social media. Please, 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 let's stay in touch. Okay, but let's talk maybe not about karaoke right now, later. Right now, let's talk about Chrome DevTools. So, for those who don't know that, Chrome DevTools is a set of web developer tools built in directly into the Google Chrome browser. They are free, they are already there. You don't need to install anything, you don't need to pay for that. It's waiting for you. And if you want to open that, you can just right-click in your Chrome browser or use shortcut visible in the screen, or you can find those three dots, more tools, developers tools. That's super basic stuff. But today we won't cover those basic scenarios, but more hidden features I really like and I'm using each day. One disclaimer. You saw this meme yesterday, right? So David really hates use reducer, but there's something I hate even more, and it's just a quick question. So, you know, you're at work, you're coding, you're doing something, and someone is coming, Domi, I have just a quick question. Can you tell me how to? It's never quick. It's never easy. And probably I will spend a lot of time answering that. So during this talk, I prepared some quick questions and tricks on how to make them really quick, not taking too much of your time. And plan for today is in 3 categories. So firstly, CSS, because we all love working with CSS. The second one, lazy clickers guide, and some problems with network and what to do when you see them. Let's start with CSS. It's me working with CSSs. And I believe that many of you can relate, right? So fortunately, there are tools which can help us. And yeah, without CSS, the world will be boring and gray and, ugly, let's be honest. But sometimes it's really, really difficult to understand what's happening there. So let's go to the first quick question I've heard. This blue is not blue enough. And in my head, after listening to that, I'm starting some really, really serious conversation. What does it mean it's blue enough? How to define that something is blue? Is there any definition of blueness? Like, how to define what's needed there? Actually, this person meant that, there's something wrong and the color is not in our brand palette. But we should change that. But when you develop the page, it's kind of easy. You can just look, you know where you put your styling, probably use some variables, so it's easier. Sometimes we don't have it. Fortunately, there's a cool feature called CSS Overview. OK. Why it's not working? No. I lost control over my keyboard, maybe because of key. Come on, make it work. Do you know what happened here? I just wanted to display another screen, and now my computer froze. Ooh, magic. This is blue, yeah? But is this blue enough? We can start discussion. Who believes it's blue enough? Raise your hand. OK. I can see it there, so it's a little better. I can make it. Yes! OK. I can see it here. I can see it there. It's difficult, but we can make it. OK, so what I'm doing, I'm right-clicking and going to Chrome DevTools. And here, we have something called More Tools and CSS Overview. Who of you heard about this feature before? Oh, few people? Perfect. I will show you something new then. Let me open that in a new window. It will be more visible there. Perfect. So in a few seconds, I generated a report showing all colors used in the web page. Not only background colors, but also text colors. So as you can see, we have a lot of blue on React Paris page. And now we can start discussion which blue is correct blue. What is even better, when you click on those items, you will see a list of elements using them. And when you click on them, you will be redirected to Elements tab. So you can easily find it on the web page and check in which place we have to change it. I know it's not, revolutionary work, but it's very important, especially when you work with some color palette and you need to adjust it for company purposes. Come on, that's great, isn't it? Yes! OK. Woo. What's happening here? OK. Let's go further. So, CSS overview, how to go there. If you want to take a picture, go to Chrome DevTools, 3 dots, More Tools, CSS overview, Capture Overview. Few seconds, and you can generate this report, especially when your computer working not like mine, right? OK, but we can make it. So, the second problem, it looks bad for people with color blindness. And yesterday, we had an amazing talk by Katerina about accessibility. We mentioned that there are many, many people with color blindness, much more than you expected. Data are saying that it's 1 of 10 men and 1 of 200 women in the world, so a lot. But for majority of people, color blindness does not necessarily mean seeing word in grayscale. For majority of people, it will look like that. So we are not seeing some colors. For example, someone is not seeing red or blue. But we can easily simulate that, to feel, to understand how our web page will look like for people with different vision deficiencies, or just to understand why it's important. So what I recommend to you is go to Chrome DevTools, to tab called Rendering, and find a setting called Emulate Vision Deficiencies. When you go there, just start using internet the same way you are doing that each day, and you will be surprised. How many data are hidden in the color? For example, do you know which one is a button, or is there a link in the page, or my favorite forever? All errors were marked in red. Thank you, right? When you can't see the red. So this one, it will work on any web page. Change that, try that, and understand why accessibility is so important, because it is. OK, and another one is also connected with accessibility. So sometimes the contrast between label and the background is too small. So it's really hard to read what is in the button or some text, especially when we speak about people with different vision deficiencies. And fortunately, Chrome DevTools can recognize those places for us, and what is even better, they can fix it. So let's go to my React Paris page. I will open Chrome DevTools again, and I will put them on the right side to make it more visible. You may notice that in the CSS overview I presented before, we had this section called contrast issues, and there are 11 of them in this site. So you may see that some of them are fulfilling this AA criteria, but not fulfilling this AAA criteria, but some of them are missing in both categories. When you click on those items, again, you will receive a list of all elements with given problem. So for example, here, let's go to this element, and let's scroll to this view. OK, so we have some problem on testimonials. What we can do with that? Let's go to the color picker. Notice that also here we have information that there's something wrong with contrast ratio. But, yay, we have extended section. And when we click on that, Chrome DevTools will calculate a new color as close to the original as is possible, but fulfilling the criteria about contrast ratio. So when you don't work with UX designer or you need a fast answer, it's a super quick, easy way to find a new color. Of course, it won't be saved, like you are just emulating that in your browser, but you can copy this color, put it in your source code, and fix problems with insufficient contrast ratio. So you know. Now you know it's easy. After Katerina's talk, you know it's important. So next time I see you, I hope you fixed all contrast issues in your websites, OK? OK, perfect. For those who prefer screenshots, it's how to find it. You have to go to Color Picker, click on the color, and find section called Contrast Ratio. OK. And there, yeah, those buttons to fix that. There's something wrong on screen readers. Accessibility, again, you know, European Accessibility Act is coming super close in May, so everyone is working on accessibility right now. But how to check? Is this really wrong or good on screen reader? Of course, the best way is to test it with screen reader. But it's very difficult and time-consuming. And Katarina mentioned yesterday that we have something called accessibility tree. So it's like how your web page will be read, will be presented, for example, for screen readers. And yeah, it's slide from yesterday. Picture from yesterday. It's why it's, you know, strange angle here. OK, but what we can do? In Chrome DevTools, we have a feature called Enable Full Page Accessibility Tree. You will find it in Elements. Then you need to go to tab called Accessibility and check this small checkbox there. After that, you will receive you may see how the web page will look like in this accessibility tree. And What is even better, you have switch using this human icon between HTML and accessibility tree. So you can change something in your HTML and check how it will be translated. What's even better, when you hover over some element, it will be still focused when you switch. So you can see how your HTML is translated to accessibility tree. So when you work with that, it's very, very useful. Of course, in the end, you should check it with screen reader, because it is important. But when you just need to develop, check, for example, some label or understand is the semantic HTML correct for this place, it will help you. So you know, no excuses. Everyone is working on accessibility from today. And another very, very, very common problem is when something is blinking and we have no idea why. It should be working, but one element is kind of strange and we have no idea what's happening there. And it's what David mentioned yesterday. Sometimes we have strange re-renders. They are maybe not visible for us because they're super quick, but it's super popular error, especially when you work with some juniors, and you know something is re-rendering too much time. And we have something called rendering tab, and I will show it for you. So let's go back to this React Paris page, and let me go to tab called rendering. Here are many, many cool options, and probably you haven't seen majority of them because why? But one of them is paint flashing. And now when you have this checkbox enabled, each time when some components is repainted, it will be highlighted in green. So when you have a problem that some component is repainting, it will be green all the time. Also, when you have some interaction, like, for example, you open modal, you may see which elements on the web page are really repainted. So it's a visual cue for you what to improve, what to check, and where to find some problems. There are much more options here you may try. For example, I really like this one, scrolling performance issues. I believe it's not visible on the React Paris webpage, so congrats. But typically, you may find some additional information what you may improve to make performance slightly better. So yeah, those two options. Let me check that to not spoil my demo. OK, and how it will look like if? It's one of my favorite questions, because you know, I really like this creative pattern and so on, but someone is asking, oh, can you do this small change for me? Or can you do another small change for me? Or can you change this text? And so on, so on, so on. So yesterday it was said that we really love UX designers, and I really love my UX designer I cooperate with. But it's also cool to give them some tools. And each UX designer cooperating with me has to learn from DevTools, at least basics, you know. But there's also something called design mode. Have you heard about it? Anyone? Oh, OK, a lot. I'm surprised. For those who haven't seen it, when you are in console mode, let me go to the top of the web page, you can put something like document, design mode, and put it to on. Yay. After that, you can edit web page like a Word document. So for example, when I just want to change this text, I can do it super easily. So especially when you work with different wording, with different context of your web page, it's a cool feature. Just enable that, allow them to play with that. I'm also playing with that, testing different approaches and copies. So it's a small thing. And of course, we can just disable that using design mode off. Yay! OK, it works. Shouldn't be surprised, right? OK, time for the most difficult question in IT. Do you know what is that? Any guesses? Doesn't work on my computer. As you can see, I didn't figure it out. Yes, so it's not this one, but good approach. Good. Sorry? How much OK, it's not this one. It's more like computer coding related.
I don't know the question, but the answer is it depends.
It depends, yeah, that's the answer. But actually, I'm looking for a question. Come on, you can do it. The most difficult question when we talk about styling, CSSs. Yes, how to center element on our web page, right? I know it's 2025 and no one is struggling with that. I am still struggling with that. So, sometimes it looks like that. And for those who can't see, yeah, this guy has a ruler. And I really, really appreciate the creativity in this meme. But we have better ways, as you may guess, also using Chrome DevTools. So let me go to my demo, reload the page. Yes, it's here. So I have a button. It's very smart. When you click it, it's just saying button clicked. But it's not centered. So what we can do, let's start with the old approach, let's say. So we are going here. We know that there's something with display, right? And Gen Z really like to flex. So let's go to flex. And what I really love, there's this hover with tips for me. I never remember those properties, but right now you can just choose them. And I have all different options, so I don't have to remember which property is responsible for that. It's just there. Cool, right? OK, I don't see you are excited. So let's do it in more exciting way. But I need to reload the page for it, so you can see it's not centered again. It's 2025. So what I'm doing here, of course, I'm asking AI. And as you can see, it's a very common question in my... OK. So right now, Chrome DevTools have this built-in AI assistant. It's not perfect, but it's super useful. It will analyze the styling on your web page. It will provide you some information, what is changing and why. Definitely, it's not the change we should do, but OK. OK, it's not. So let's try again. Can you center the button horizontally and vertically? Let's see. Maybe this time it will be better. In times like that, I'm super happy. My job is still safe. Yeah, we got it. So, it's 2025. You can't trust AI in everything. But sometimes they can provide some good answers. So it will provide you some description. It will ask you about changes it wants to introduce. It will provide some additional resources when problem is more complicated. So give it a try. And also, it will ask you about before sending any data, so you can decide which data will be shared with the model. OK. So, I forgot about this, but I really love this meme. And yeah, I have also queued docs after each demo, just in case something went wrong. So, don't think about mistake. Look at this cutie. OK. So here's recording and how to find AI assistant. It's just right-click, ask AI. Of course, you need to set up some permissions. It's not enabled by default. So you need to enable access to AI in your Chrome DevTools. And what is super cool, it's available in each Chrome browser. So you don't need Canary version. You don't need to install anything. It's there already. So give it a try. And yeah, for example, when you have coarse problems, what I would do, I would just right-click on this error and ask AI, can you help me? I'm in front of people. Please do it. So it's really good in coarse errors, because I'm doing a lot of them. So yeah, each time it's giving correct answer for me. OK, it was about styling. Let's go to Lazy Clicker's Guide. And the title is maybe a little strange, but what I really want to achieve there. So sometimes you receive a pull, something doesn't work. But the reproduction steps are so long. And to go to this view where you see this problem, you need to click 10 forms, clap your hands, stand on hands, change something, put 3 magical words, and in the end, I don't know, say something in Japanese. So to avoid that, we have something, yeah, it's me, each time when repro is longer than 3 steps. So what we can do, we can use some feature called recorder. And thanks, it's in more tools. Sorry, I need to run it on React Paris page because my page is too easy to show anything there. Let me open this recorder page. It's here. So I want to create recording. I can give it a name. And I can decide if I want to use some specific selector. For example, when in company you use some convention like data test ID, you can just put it in the second input. If not, you can use some predefined selectors types to record. I will use just default, because I'm lazy. I told it already. And we are starting recording. Let's say I want to go to tickets, buy ticket, manage tickets. And put some test.com email here. And let's end recording here. As you may see, I have a timeline with events there, with actions happening in each step. Now, I can just replay that. So the automation will just repeat all the steps defined in a given scenario. OK? It's almost there, almost there. Yes, it worked. So what is better? What's more? You can repeat it on different speed, so you can slow it down, for example, when you want to see some strange blinking behavior or something happening strange. You can change that. For example, instead of changing to test as test, I can change it to test to test.com. I know it's super creative change. No, it's the same, yeah? Test 2. OK, 22 will work as well. So yeah, you can change some property just to show you it works. It's not recording. I hope it will work. Please work. Yeah. So yeah, because it split it into 2 steps. In first step, it get only test at. In the second step, it took the whole name. You can fix it, for example, removing some step. And you can do it from here. You can add some breakpoints. You can export that as JSON, and so on, so on. And also, you can export that in different formats. So for example, when you work with Puppeteer, you can just create your tests using that, and just export it that and include into your process. There are different formats you can use here, and there are many, many extensions, so I recommend that. And what's more, you can also open this scenario in Performance panel when you need to, for example, optimize some specific flow. For example, log into your product or buying, adding something to the cart. It's useful to record it, test, but also later check for performance and how fast or how bad it is. OK, this time without any problems, but QtDoc is still there for you. And we don't need recording. So if you want to find this tab, just go to More Tools, Recorder, and start recording from there. It's how it looks like. OK, and if you want to learn more about testing, there's a cool talk by Kate later, after lunch. So strongly recommend. I'm waiting for it. I also want to learn how to better test. And yeah, there's the last section of my talk. There's something wrong with network, because we have so many problems with network. And first of them, I really love this question. Can you make it faster? It's so easy, just do it faster. It's like, OK, I will do it. Click, it's done. Unfortunately, it's not. On the other hand, each time when you have to wait for loading a page, it's so long, especially when you're at the airport or in the train and your network connection is not so good. We can do better, right? we can send people into space and so on. So yeah, let's think about that for a while at least. There were talks about performance, and you've seen some of the things in Chrome DevTools before. For example, there's this Lighthouse score presented yesterday. There were also the network tab was also presented yesterday. So probably you know them. They are super basic. I want to show you something else and some new features delivered recently. Not everyone is aware of them. So first of them are local and field metrics. And maybe I will show it on the example. Let's go back to this React Paris page. Let me remove this recording. Maybe I will go back to React Paris. And yeah, let me go to the performance tab. It's not here, it's there. OK, so just after loading, you will receive some useful information about Web Core Vitals, so the most important metrics. And you can see, for example, which elements are causing some shifts, and receive some information. You can click on them. You will be redirected to this Elements tab, so you can easily find which elements are actually problematic. There's also an option to connect your local data with those data gathered by Chrome User Experience Report. So if your web page is available online, this report is gathering data from real users, and you can connect them here. I did it before, so it's how it looks like. You can choose URL, which device you want to use, and yeah, typically it's all what you need to do. And then you will see that, for example, here, your LCP is OK, and it's similar to what your actual users are seeing. Why it's important? Because sometimes we have super strong network connection or super great computer, but our users won't. So in this view, you may see what is the difference between your local development and what your actual users are seeing. And you can adjust it. For example, let's say I will slow it a little. And I will reload the page. Now we should see different metrics. OK, it's calculating. OK, and now you can see that I changed something, and my local values are much worse than those visible by real users. So it may be a good starting point. It won't solve all your problems, right? We still need to have some metrics. We still should monitor our real user metrics. But it's a very good starting point, so I strongly recommend that. And remember about this option about throttling your network or CPU. No throttling. OK, from here, we can also, for example, reload page to gather more data. It will take a while, but I hope it will finish soon. Yeah, it's there. And here, you will receive much more information about all events. You can see the bottom-up, so you can see which are the most time-consuming, let's say. And what is super cool, I discovered that recently, but we can label entries. So you can add something like that. Should I work on this one? Oh, typing is difficult. This one. OK. Or you can connect, for example, this entry with something else. If you believe they are connected and they have some impact on each other, and those information will be kept for you, so you can preview them and see what's happening. So it's something small, but very useful when you work with that and you try to understand what's happening there. It's visible later on in your annotations tab. So when you scroll to another place on your application, you can just go back to this marked entry. So it's like note to yourself, go back to this, check this one, see what's happening there, or to try connect the dots between different entries. You may also see there's something called insights. And again, React Paris page is kind of cool, so there are not so many of them. But typically, you will see some tips on what to improve, how to improve that. So when you are just trying to do first step, to change something, to adjust something, to make it faster, to make it better, here are top tips for you, and you can check them. And also, when you are just starting your journey with optimizations and performance, it's worth checking what's in past insights. So what is measured here and what is important, how to check that. And of course, what I super strongly recommend is this Lighthouse audit. So it's built-in audit. You can just choose a performance, analyze page load, and will also provide you a lot of useful data. Firstly, it will give you a score between 1 and 100. So score below 50 is bad. You should really work on that. 51, 89, it's like, OK, we can live with it. But what we are aiming is like 90 till 100. And also, this report will generate tips for you and show you, for example, how the performance was calculated and how different scores are weighted. You can also go to calculator, play with that. I won't do it for now. You will see the most important metrics, screenshots, and of course, diagnostics. So what can be improved, how to improve that. There's almost always link to some blog telling in details why it's important, how it's measured, how to improve it. There's list of failing elements, so you know which exactly element is failing. So strongly recommend playing with that. OK, and let's go back to my presentation. So that's local and field metrics. You just need to go to Performance tab, and you will see it. So you don't need to do anything with that. Insights are when you go to this report, and they are visible by default, or you need to click the small icon here. And when you want to do some annotations, right-click on given entry. It will ask you for add a label or add link. And yeah, there's also AI assistant here. Yay, 2025. Let's take a look how it works. So I have super cool demo. Like, it's so complicated. All it's doing, maybe let me open Chrome DevTools before I run it. And let's go to the network tab. All the demo is show me cats. Please show me cats. And as you can see, it's kind of slow. So it's doing what we need. But OK, probably it can be done better. So what I can do, ask AI how to make it faster. Oh, there's a typo. OK, so let AI solve our problems, because why not? It's taking context of the request. It's checking some metrics and so on, and generating some tips for us. And in this case, it's kind of good. For example, it discovered that, firstly, I have super huge limit, 100 of cats right now. It's too much. Probably you can set smaller limit and just load pictures when you need them. Yeah, so please do some pagination on it. There's stupid filter when I have repeated IDs. It's not needed. It will also make it faster, and some other options I can do here. So this case is easy, but it's also a super useful thing when you just debug something and you want to learn how it works, how to make it better. Of course, it's not perfect. Don't trust it fully, but treat it as another tip, another thing you can use to see what's happening here. OK. Sometimes we have cases where backend is not ready yet, or we have a feature and we want to simulate what will happen if we receive a different response from given endpoint. And fortunately, there's something for that as well. Yay! Even if I'm full stack, sometimes it's hard to, set up backend, frontend, connect them to each other, especially in huge applications. Sometimes it's another team, and you need to ask them for changes in API. Sometimes you just want to reproduce a bug, so you want to see how it will look like when the response will be different. And for that, we have a feature called overrides. We can override headers or override the content. Maybe I will show it as well on the example. So let's go back to my cats. When I right-click on it, I have an option to override content. And right now, it looks like that. So it's returning a lot of data. I will just copy first of them, remove everything, and leave only one entry. So right now, when I save it and reload the page, it won't use the answer from the real service. Oh, OK. I hope it will work. Let's see. Yeah. So right now, it didn't use the real endpoint. It just used my mock, my response defined in the browser. So it's a super easy way to pretend that API is returning something else, playing with that. And this purple dot will tell you that this file was changed. It's only locally overwritten. And also here, you can see that I'm using some override. And blocking requests. When you want to just check how your web page will look like when, for example, some picture is not loading, you can also just block this one specific request. Let's go back to React Paris page, for example. We have network. It's difficult for me to see from there. OK, we have something called after movie React Paris. Let's block this one, block request URL. So when I reload this one, we may see how the web page will look like when it cannot load some resource. It may be picture, it may be additional data, video, like here. So it's an easy way just to check, for example, if your fallbacks work correctly. Cool, right? Yay! OK, and I see that you really, really want to go for lunch. But if they won't stop me, I would speak about all those things visible in the slide, because there are many, many things hidden in Chrome DevTools I would love to speak about. But yeah, unfortunately, I cannot. They told me, you cannot talk too much. People are hungry. So what to remember before you invest your time in learning new tool or paying for that? Check, because maybe all you need is already in the browser, and you don't need any specific tools. You don't need to spend 1 week to learn some simulators or something else. You just need to open Chrome DevTools, or shorter version of this one, be lazy. Because, it's enough. You don't have to work hard, just work smart. If you want more info, those 3 resources: Twitter, blog, and of course, just experiment, because that's the best way of learning. And if you want to stay in touch, here are my socials. Thank you very much.